Is it doing it? Are we live? It's actually functioning. Yay! Yay! Hello everybody and welcome to my very first live stream. If you couldn't tell, this is my very first live stream. I'm super excited to be working with you guys today. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys some stuff, how to do some stuff in Blender. Mainly, we're going to be showing how to make this thing. There it is. Now, we're not going to be covering like how to do lights and animations right off the bat, but we are going to be making a semi-sophisticated model for a beginner. This is a tutorial meant for beginners. This is a thing made for beginners. So if you are intermediate or you've been working with Blender for a few years now or something like that, this stream isn't made for you. You will probably find me incredibly boring or incredibly everything that I'm talking about to be rather basic. This is for people that are trying to get into making stuff in Blender. So, let's look at the object that we are making here. Let's see, can I? Yes. Amazing. Okay. This is the object that we're going to be working with. As you can see, we have a lot of basic shapes and designs that we are going to be replicating. It is always best to figure out what you're doing before you start doing it. Same as everything else in life. We have a lot of basic shapes here. Yeah, we have the ray gun part itself. We have triggers. We have a handle made for a younger child. A fin, and then the main body is made up of several different shapes as well. Let's make it happen. So, zoom down here. And we're going to go into Blender. I've already selected a general layout. And let's see, is there any part of this structure that I can make with a default cube? The answer is yes. I can make the handle. So let's start there. Now, with this, I'm going to press Tab and go into Edit Mode. And let's go ahead and grab the top. And we're going to extrude. The reason why we're going to extrude is because the handle's got a little bit of a curve to it. So we're going to need it to be able to curve. I'd say 3 is a good place to start. And next, I'm going to grab one set of faces. Yes. And I'm going to go over to rotate and do like so. Yes, this is the right way to go. Now I've got a nice slight curve for this. And yes, there are other ways you could have done this. It's a 3D modeling program. Just like any artistic program, you're going to be able to do everything a dozen or 3 dozen different ways. So that's just all there is to that. Let's see here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back out of this, and we're going to go to it, and we're going to bevel it. Right now it's set to 1. zoom in so that everyone can see what we're working with. This is what a single segment does. 2, 3. 3 seems to be about the right. Let's increase it. Yeah, increase it. And 4. There we go. That's looking a lot more like what we're needing. Now for the very basic types of models, I tend to use a lot of modifiers to get my basic shapes. Rather than spend a lot of time in the edit modes and moving all the vertexes and vertices around, let's go for this. Okay, now we've got the start to the handle. So let's give it something to attach to. It immediately attaches into the body. It's immediately attaching into the body. And this is something that 3D modelers have to work with a lot. We always have some sort of... we rarely have to work out of just our brains. We have to work off of some piece of reference art that's handed to us or that we created ourselves. And we always... about 50% of the time we try to improve it, or we make modifications that are needed for the object later down the line, such as simplifying. In this case, it would be really easy to simplify it. I don't think that's necessary though. I would like to keep it as true to my little toy model here as possible. Yes. Now, we've got a sphere here attaching into a bullet shape. So, let's first make that sphere. I'm going to hold down Shift and press A and go over to here. And now I have a nice little sphere. Bring it up. And there. Yes. Now, we're going to scale it up. So, there we go. Let's grab it by the red square there. Move it so that it is doing that. That looks to be about the right placement. So, we're going to go into here, Boolean, select Union, and then select our sphere, and apply. Yeah, you not do it? Did you not do it? Oh, you did do it. Okay, there we go. Usually when you do a union between those two objects, you'll see some slight gray distortions on the very top of one of the meshes. It didn't do it that time, which, of course, it's not going to do it the one time that you do it in front for a lecture or demonstration. Of course. It's going to act differently in front of everybody else, of course. Now, we're going to press S and scale it down again, because why not go ahead and make a little tiny knobby bit that has no discernible purpose other than being stylistic. I have no idea what that could possibly be for. And I'm going to create a cylinder. Let's move you into position. And I'm holding down the middle mouse button to enable me to just pan around like this. Go to rotate. And instead of doing it by hand, I'm going to press in. And I'm going to rotate this by 90 on the x-axis. There we go. Now it's perfectly lined up there. Let's scale it. There is a very annoying fly attacking my face. And yes, that will be enough to create the union here. So we go over back to our main shape. We're going to Boolean the union cylinder. Let's go ahead and duplicate it. And for this one, we'll select the sphere. So we go apply, and we go apply. Now I'm going to move move my sphere off to the side. I'm going to grab that cylinder and make it go away because I don't need it for a while now. Now, I've got a nice start to this thing. You wouldn't be able to identify it based on what it is currently. But I've got the back end of it created. So, I'm going to move this into position. This sphere is about to change shape wildly. Let's just make it semi-lined up with the rest of our object. I hate to just make random pieces and parts of a object. Usually I start at one point and move my way all the way through the entire thing. Now I'm going to work on this main body here. So, scale, and I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees because that will make it a lot easier later. Now, I'm going to stretch her out. And I'm going to expand it just a little bit. There we go. That's looking a lot more like the ray gun that we need. In fact, we're getting semi-close. Let's increase the total size. Total. Yes, I know, stomach. It is lunchtime. There we go. And yes, when you're 3D modeling, a lot of what you're going to wind up doing is very feel it out and technique. It's like any kind of artistic program. You're going to spend a lot of time just making things close to what you want, and then using your experience to bring it the rest of the way. So, let's combine that. And I prefer to use the Boolean over the join command for this, for one reason only. When you're combining the meshes together, it makes it a lot easier later down the line to do any kind of texture editing. If I just do a join command, it's going to have a bunch of back-facing faces and hidden vertices and all kinds of stuff. It messes with game engines. I don't know fully what I'm going to do with this thing as it stands right now, so I'm going to assume that it's going to be utilized in almost everything. And now that I've stopped and given myself a moment to think, I've realized that I need a fair number more faces for this part. So I'm going to undo the union for now. I'm going to go into not multi-resolution. I'm going to subdivide. And of course I have the wrong object selected. That happens regularly in this program. I want to subdivide. Where'd you go? There you are. Now it's a great deal smoother, and that will come across later. And the reason I don't want to subdivide this, honestly, I should have subdivided the sphere back here. That's fine. It's not that noticeable. It would be on the rest of the main body. In fact, I could even get away with it back here by utilizing various types of textures. The less I have to get away with, the better. So, apply that. Now we're going to combine it using our Boolean. Boolean is superior to join. Period. Every time that you have to think about that, join is something left over from the early days of these kinds of programs. Honestly, I can see there being situations where you would use join. Don't. Honestly, join is when nothing else is working. And if you ever have to join something, you will immediately understand why that is the tool of last resort. Now, let's keep going. Let's do the next piece, which is considerably more fun. We're going to do the little nozzle here, which is a cylinder, 2 more cylinders after that, and a sphere. Let's do it. Cylinder. Up to here to make the piece that comes all the way out of it. Going to 90 degrees it. And let's go ahead and shrink it dramatically. Now, you'll notice I haven't worried too much about sizing the object to anything, and that's because you can always resize an object later. You can always resize the full mesh at a later point in time. Think about that. Yeah, that'll work. Let's go into edit mode. I'm going to, yes, I'm already in there. Give me the move command, and I want to grab the very end of that, and I'm going to stretch it out a bit. I can always change that piece later. Now, let's combine a bunch of things together and then combine it to the main body. So, create the cylinders, and I'm going to bring it up here. Let's do a little bit of lining up. Doesn't need to be perfect for this first part. I can make certain it's perfect before I do anything else. Anything that can't be undone, I will fix. Saying I didn't need to be perfect, I just need to be really, really good. Okay. Don't know why you didn't switch. Very well. Maybe like that. And next, scale the whole thing. That's about right size. Okay, now I'm going to hold down Shift and press D and then click. That has duplicated this thing. Bring it out. And I am going to scale it. Just tapping S and scaling down just a smidge. Now you'll notice that there's this little orange dot right here. That orange dot is actually the center of the original object. Because I went into edit mode and made those edits, it left that center behind. In order to fix that, I would normally have to go back into edit mode and scooch things around until it was in the center again. And I would do that if I wasn't about to destroy the object by doing combining and mesh manipulation in that manner. In other words, that's what I would normally do. But we don't need to do that this time. Instead, we're going to go here, and we're going to go ahead and Boolean union cylinder 1, and let's apply that. Very good. And let's do it again. Union 2, and apply. Now I can get rid of these here in my lists, and it looks a little bit better. Oh wait, is it? Let's grab these, and we're going to click on the X to align our view. Okay. Hold down Shift, middle mouse button to pan correctly. Ah, there we go. See how I told you about the center of the object? That is proving to be useful right this second. So we're going to just drag slowly down to the center of the object, the proper center of this. Because I didn't scale it in any other manner, I'm able to use that as a guidepost and figure out where it's actually supposed to be, and now I can redo that same step that I did before. Boolean. Union. The other two options on here are intersect and difference. That is basically when you need a very particular shape and you're using another shape as a stamp or cutting removal tool. One is basically the reverse of the other. I use Boolean mostly for the union. There are times when I do have to use difference or intersect. But those are not common things for me to use. And to apply and apply. Now I can get rid of these two cylinders. Okay. So far so good. It looks like it could go pew pew. So, let's bring up a sphere at the very, very end here. And that is about where I want it. How big is that ball? Not terribly big. So let's go ahead and scale her down just a smidge. And before we do... yeah, it's about there. So before we do that, we're going to do an edit. Don't know why it wasn't doing that for me. Okay. And we'll bring that to the inside. Back into object mode. The reason why I have to keep going back into object mode and I can't just stay in edit mode is in edit mode, if I added an object, it would automatically be part of that object, which that can be useful, but like I said before, it doesn't allow me to do any of the mesh edits. And the reason why I have to go back into object mode is it won't let me do any modifiers, which Boolean is one of those really useful modifiers. Sphere. Union. Apply. Delete. And there we go. So how long have we been streaming now? 15 minutes. That's amazing. Oh, I had some people in here a few minutes ago. Probably robots that left. Okay. Back to it. So we have the pew pew, and we've got the main body of our gun. We're going to add a few more pieces here, mainly the fin and these nice little detail pieces on the side, and then the trigger and there we go. The trigger and the trigger casing, because why wouldn't you put the protection on there? That's just too much fun. So, let's do that next. Boolean, union, cylinder, apply. There we go. Now, let's do the next biggest thing on here, which is the fin. Let's see here. About a dozen different ways you can do this. going to go with the default cube. That is not the default cube. Okay, and yes, that properly joins the whole thing together. Yeah, that's definitely a balancing part of the design. And yes, you do wind up learning design just from doing this stuff a lot. I've got... how long have I been doing this? I've been messing around with 3D programs since I was 16? 16? So I am not quite 20 years yet. I'm 20... no. I am 18 years into this now? Yeah. 18 years. Edit mode. And I'm going to use edit mode because there's a lot of detail work that's to be done here. So extrude out. Extrude out. One more. Extrude out. And grab that on the green axis. And I use green axis instead. What? Error is not receiving enough video to maintain small softness. Will experience buffering. Why? Why are we getting an error? This is a supercomputer. Well, at least I thought this was a supercomputer. No, it's not the computer, it's my internet connection. Sorry everyone that is experiencing buffering issues. How about instead of torturing everyone, I can tell it to do a add, and let's see if that will help. How do I tell it to do an add? As I've said before, this is my very first time. Wait, did it fix itself? I'm sorry to everyone that's experiencing minor errors from this. Well, I am sorry that the stream is not performing very well. Okay, is there anything I can do to help this? I'm sorry, my my knowledge when it comes to streaming is rather limited. I've spent most of my time doing 3D models. Streaming well. No data. Man, look. Okay, I will just have to figure out how to... I'm sorry, I thought monetization was active on this. We are experiencing some major issues if you are just coming into this. I don't know I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix this yet. If you're joining us right this second, I am apologizing for the poor streaming quality that's going up here. I would very much like to do this regularly for you guys and give you guys some decent stuff. According to this is excellent again. Okay, so I'm guessing whatever major issue was causing this has passed, and it's back to back. Okay. I don't have a lot of things on my side to help you. Okay, I'm going to continue forward as though this isn't happening in order to get the model finished. So, object mode. Why is it for status? because I know that wireframe mode tends to give certain people headaches. Let's scale. Using the scale tool, I'm going to grab it on the red axis. I use colors because my dyslexia makes it so that when I say things like, let's move it on the x-axis, I really meant y-axis. So colors keep it a little bit straighter in my head. There we go. That is semi-good. Semi-good is not quite good enough in this setup though. So I'm going to move this over and up. There we go. Now then. Yes, this is looking good. I'm going to move over to bevel. Back in object mode so that I'm actually able to utilize everything in here. It is going to bevel everything like that. So, let's keep a close eye on it and start beveling the crud out of it. This doesn't quite look right. But I know how to fix it. I'm going to go back into edit mode. We're going to grab the loop cut, one of my favorite tools, and do that. There we go. Honestly, it's overkill. Now, with all of those lines selected, I'm going to grab the scale, and I'm going to grab the red box, because that will allow me to move everything in the right direction. Like that. Move. Like so. Now that is considerably closer to what I'm actually wanting. So, let's leave this and look at it. That it's creating a ton of vertices and faces and things, but it's looking much closer to what we're wanting. In fact, I think that's about on par. So, we're going to apply that. Next step is to make this even better. Is that good enough? No. We're going to go to edit mode, and we're going to smooth this out. And that is part of the reason why it's not quite good enough. So, we're going to extrude this vertice. Nope, nope, nope. This is wrong. Oh, would you please stop? We're going to extrude this edge here. I said extrude, please. No, you don't want to? Fine. Delete what was created there. How to make this happen in a nice, fast, friendly manner. Like a devil. Yeah, forward is to do a certain amount of beveling. So let's bevel. There we go. And the key to beveling is just click on it until it does what you want it to do. Click and hold, drop. Okay. That's looking better. Now let's go over to vertexes. Back facing. And do I bevel this? Let's see what happens. There it is. Oh, I did not have something selected. Okay, whatever that one vertex is going to annoy the living daylights. Okay. So let's do this one now. Oh, ew. Ew. Oh, there's a mess going on here. Oh. Okay. Now let's figure out what exactly is going on here. Oh my, that is a mess. That is a mess. It is a sorry mess at that. This is bad enough for me to want to do an undo. Oh my word. Yep, I do not want to deal with that. What's going on here? Where did you come from? In fact, I imagine that's where most of my mess is coming from. So, wherever this little vertex came from, it does not need to exist. I'm going to press M to merge it, and I'm going to do it at last, so that it does not bother me like that again. I'm going to do the same thing too. I like to merge vertices that are like that, because deleting sometimes gets rid of important faces that already existed, that they're connected to without actually being connected to. 3D modeling programs can be weird. Now, I was able to do this. I want to see if I'm able to do that one again, now that I've done a little bit of fixing. So let's bevel, please. And that's a clear sign that no, it cannot. Maybe we can do this one. Oh, we can. And that is considerably better than what we were dealing with before. Okay, I think we've got the fin finished. And yes, we've spent more time on the fin than we have on the handle or anything else of that matter. That is sad and hilarious at the same time. And par for the course for what happens here. So, we're going to go ahead and combine it using the Boolean tool. Apply it. And goodbye. Now, this entire time I've been going through and without naming this thing. Now, I'll see it whenever it happens. Now, let's see here. All that's left is the pretty detail work on the side, which does bump out. I can do that with the texture. I can do this with the texture, and it'll even look like it bumps out from it. But I don't want to. And I also need to do the trigger and the trigger housing. I'm not a gun person, so I don't know what the safety guard thing is here actually called. Let's go ahead and do the trigger and its guard, and then do the detail side on the side here. So, mesh. I'm going to create a, let's go with a torus knot. Okay, I need to do that on the y-axis this time. That's perfectly fine. Okay. Now I'm going to scale this into position. How to make this look correct? Because obviously... Oh, I see. Okay, so we're going to bring that over. All we really need is the curve. So, why don't I just... rid of everything I don't need. I'm going to use the difference, and I'm going to grab the cube. There we go. Apply that. And let's go ahead and see here. Yes, that looks fantastic. So, we grab our torus knot, and we're going to go into edit mode. We're going to grab the face, and I'm going to bring it all the way across. There we go. Object mode. Now I'm going to do a union between that and that, and get rid of that. There we go. Now I just need to create the trigger. Triggers can be a little tricky. See if I can do a nice little zoom in on what that looks like, and give myself my face as a reference against the semi-dark background. I've just realized I've gone this entire stream without turning on any of my lighting around me. Honestly, I think I look fine without the extra lighting. But, yeah, that makes it a little bit more difficult to see certain things like this. Trigger is, well, a trigger. So, let's look at our options and see. I suppose a cone could do the trick, but this is a lot more of an edge, and thus a cone would be a lot of work to get back into position. A cube, we could do a lot of loop cuts on. Take the corner and then curve it out. Torus knot could work in a very similar fashion to what we just did. So I guess we'll do that. I don't have to make triggers all that often. Mainly because I don't make guns all that often. Just do 90. Honestly, the artistry when it comes to guns is pretty limited. You have to make like a really classic looking steampunk thing to really get into artistry when it comes to a gun. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of manipulations to make the trigger look correct, because it's a small detail. So of course, small details are what you wind up spending a lot more of your time on, because if you include a small detail and it doesn't look right, then the whole thing looks wrong and bad. So, always take your time, breathe, and figure out exactly what you're going to do to make it work. And the other problem is, this is capable of moving. In an animation, I would want these to actually be separate so that I didn't have to do an armature inside such a basic object. Of course, I could get away with doing nothing at all, because when you put your hand in it, you don't see the trigger at all. So I could get away with a static object and not have to worry about animation. In fact, I think that's how I'm going to go. If I was going to do some sort of 3D printout, I would have to completely remove it and put a hole into place. Decisions. So, let's go with being able to do either or. You know what would do really well is a hexagon here. So, let's go ahead and turn on our extended objects. Where are you? There you are. Use the dome, 3D printer tools, yada yada yada. Edit mesh tools. There's all kinds of good fun stuff here. Install that. Oh, it's already installed. I just clicked the box. Okay, so add mesh, and now we've got a ton more things I can use. Use a gear, use a worm. Joint, rock. Okay, let's go down to extras because I know that this will work. This doesn't. And then I will look like a silly man. Okay, so I've got a honeycomb here, which is a very nice, useful thing. As you can see, honeycombs look pretty good. And they are made of hexagons, which are the bestagons. So, we are going to take this, and we're just going to get a face off of this. So, how do I do that? I am going to do lots of things to make that happen. First, I'm going to undo my rotations, and then I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to go to here. Back in object mode. I'm going to move you away from the ray gun so that I can actually see what I am doing. And I am going to all of one face. Boom. I'm going to extrude that outward. And now I have a hexagon. Now the reason why I want a hexagon is because a hexagon has the number of sides that I want to use to make the trigger work. So I'm going to now back. Technically I need to get rid of these first. In earlier versions of Blender, there was a downloadable tool that allowed you to create your own extended primitives. If that tool still existed, or functioned in the current version of Blender, I would be using it right now. I would be so happy to be doing that. In fact, I would dedicate a portion of this stream, or a future stream, to showing you how to make that work. Okay, now the center of my object is currently over here. That will make things more difficult for me. So I'm going to grab everything and move it into a rough center. There we go. That is better than what I had before. So now I'm going to take this and move it into position. Y. There we go. Now I've got an object I can use to make a trigger. This is going to seem kind of silly, but one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten it back out a bit. Now I'm going to extrude. And then we're going to extrude again. And we're going to move over. And we're going to bevel. And what was the Control B? That's what I thought. It's easier sometimes just to click the button. Bevel. Hello. Thank you. And let's do a light rotate. And a little bit of movement. Oh, this is looking so bad. Fixed. Next, I'm going to grab here, grab that face, go back into this mode for you guys, and we will do a rotate of this face. Like that. Extrude again. This time I'm going to just shrink the scale. And I'm going to extrude again and shrink and bring it out. Now that looks like a trigger. If I exit edit mode, it looks like a trigger. It's not a very good trigger, but it looks like a trigger. So let's see if we can make it look better. Oh, we're coming up on an hour. Well, the ray gun is basically done. I'm just nitpicking over a very important detail. Okay, we are going to go back into edit mode. I'm going to utilize the vertices. And I'm going to turn on back facing. Grab all of these vertices. Okay. That is not the correct answer. I need to grab all of these vertices and that. I'm going to use the scale tool and I'm going to level them out. So, and I'm going to do the same thing to this side. The only reason I haven't done the whole mirror trick is because that would be overkill on something that has this many polygons. There we go. That is much better. That is much better. Okay. So, now we have a fairly decent ray gun. I'm going to save it here because there's several different ways of doing this next step. You can do detail work using textures. You can use detail work using any number of weird things. But at the end of the day, you have to save before you do that. Because you don't know when you're going to use this. And this is actually a very good stopping point for building all kinds of future ray guns in the future. This is basically a really good jumping off point. You've given yourself an hour of prep work, and now you can make 9 or 10 different things in the future and be amazing. And I'm hoping to see or hear about other kinds of amazing models that you guys are making. I'm going to be streaming, and hopefully the quality of my streams will go up. But over the next the rest of the year, I'm going to be streaming every day at 10 o'clock on Tuesdays. Every day we'll do a different mesh. Next time we're going to be doing a sword that is inspired off of one of the swords from Lord of the Rings. I think it's one of the Hobbit movies that has this one in it. But just because it's not the best film doesn't mean it's not a really fun sword or a really nice prop that I would like to see inside of one of my future films or video game type things. So do this again. Save. I have not seen that happen before. Let's try save as. Yeah, it definitely did not save. Just go straight to the desktop because I know I have permission to save there. There we go. I've been Brandon Burton, and I hope to see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.